Let us start the session on 3 Arduino skills. The outline of this particular presentation is Arduino hardware, Arduino as open source, Arduino analog and digital input and output, and then we will see generalized flow. Let us see what skills we are going to cover in this particular session. The first skill is Arduino hardware and software components. The second skill we are going to see is Arduino as open source. What is meant by open source? And third skill is Arduino analog input output and digital input output, that is terms related to all these things we are going to see in this particular session. Let us learn first skill. The hardware that is in front of us is having Atmega 328 microcontroller. The power to this particular board is given via USB plug or external power supply. In this case, we are having this particular jack. There are important things, that is nothing but we are having digital input output pins that are from 2 to 13, that is 11 such pins are there, and in case of analog input pins we are having 0 to 5, that is nothing but 6 pins for analog input output pins. Another thing that is important here is either you are having 3.3 voltage power supply or you can have 5.4 volt power pin. We are having ground voltage in pins, that is this section. Another important pins are reset pin, and we can have analog reference pin and digital ground pin. Along with that, we can have in-circuit serial programmer and reset button. So all this is about Arduino hardware that we want to acquire the first skill. In the same part, to have this particular Arduino board to be connected with your computer, we are using USB interface. Now to have this USB interface, the software is required, and that can be taken via Arduino.cc website, which is Arduino Software Integrated Development Environment IDE, and we have to have the USB driver required to install for this. So this consists of our first skill, Arduino hardware and software components. So this is our first thing. I hope this is understand to you. Second thing is uh, like we want to go ahead in that. This is the Arduino symbol that I want to tell in this particular first skill only. Now let us move to the second skill. The second skill is Arduino as an open source. Why Arduino is called as open source? There are three reasons that are nothing but open source hardware, open source bootloader, open source development kit. Whatever the Arduino, that is the distributors, they have made the hardware schematic available or PCB layout available online to everybody, hence it is open source hardware. In case of bootloader, the bootloader, that is nothing but a special bootloader that runs on the chip before the program is run, and it boots the chip and executes the program, is available to user. Again, open source development kit, whatever the digital input pins or whatever the analog pins, all the things are, that is schematic, are known to everybody. You can have the digital input pins wherein you are taking the input via the switches 0 or 1, and you can give the output to the actuators, or you can have the analog pins to accept the inputs from sensors, which is in the range of 0 to 255, that is in the form of voltage. So these all 3 points are constituting the second skill, that is nothing but why Arduino is called as open source. So let us move to the third skill, which is related to digital and analog pins. So before moving to digital input output pins and analog input output pins, one has to have the idea of how to connect Arduino IDE and Arduino board. To connect, we are using USB that we have told. Now what we have to take into consideration after connection, whether the board is accepted or whether the board is being connected or not, that is to be checked and confirmed via tool board, and we have to select that particular board. And in case of tools only, we are having which port here, whichever COM port is connected, that is seen on this particular, that is end. So this makes us surety that our board is connected. Once this is known, let us move to the third skill, that is nothing but Arduino analog and digital input output, that is pins. Now, before moving to these analog digital output pin, input output pins, how to write them and all other things, first of all, let us learn what is the structure of program that is on the IDE, that is integrated development environment of Arduino. So it looks like this, where you are having the that is functionality, and while writing you do have this particular thing, void setup and void loop. Void setup runs once and void loop repeats itself forever. You are writing all the program within these particular two loops. Now, what is mean by that is input output, that we have to take into consideration. Now, when we connect our board, we have to write the pin mode. The pin mode is nothing but whatever the direction, whether towards the board or output, that we have to decide, and we have to declare that pin number to be input or output. So it gives you the direction of the that particular pin. Then you can read or write. If you want to have the acquiring the signal of digital kind, that is from the switch, you are using digital read, or you can have the digital write, where you will have the digital write pin and value. Make sure you are making this W as capital, R as a capital in this case. Where you are having high or low, these are the two only options, 1 or 0 in case of digital. In case of analog, you can have the values of PWM duty cycle varying from 0 to 255. 255 is the highest and 0 is lowest. And that can be whatever the signal that can be coming from the sensor can be read from one of the pin, and that is analog read. So that value can be stored inside of, that is one of the variable like X or any other PQ, RV, ST, UV, etc. So what I mean to say is third skill is related to analog digital input, where you have to have pin mode, and then we are having digital read or write, analog read or write, so that our signals from either digital 01 or sensors in the range of 0 to 255 are accepted, or it can be shown as output. So this way, the third skill is about Arduino analog and digital. Now let us summarize. We have seen three skills of Arduino, that is nothing but first one was related to our software and hardware of Arduino. Second was related to open source, and third was related to that is Arduino digital input output. So we have learned the three skills, initial skills of Arduino, which can be used as a Arduino as a system to acquire the input outputs from the overall world. So thank you very much for learning these three Arduino skills. This is Varsha Kiran Patil signing off from first video of Arduino skills. Thank you.